Here's our starting grid. Will Davison pole position, more race wins in 2012 than any other driver. 6 race wins. He's in the best possible position to get the job done. Looking further afield, boys at Vodafone just upsetting the Ford Performance Racing Party at the top of the tree. All of the Stone Brothers racing cars have got off to a pretty good start this weekend, have qualified well. Garth Tander squeezed a timeout. So did Fabian Coulthard and Rick Kelly. Incidentally, Will Davison has just come back from a trip to the Indy 500 since we last saw him down at Phillip Island. He absolutely loved it.
Not surprised. Todd Kelly and Russell Ingall starting side by side. Both of them have had a lot of success here. In fact, Russell has more wins than any other active driver. 6 race wins. The record belongs to Mr. Scaife with 8. The 2 Techno Autosports cars, field position 17 and 18, Webb and Patrizzi. Look at this. James Courtney and Craig Lowndes together down the back of the field. That'll be fun to watch. Carl Reindler and Stevie Johnson. There's David Wall and Alex Premer. And understand that David Russell will start on soft tyres, so too will Taz Douglas.
It's already there, mate. It's
just joined us. David Russell filling in the Pepsi Max crew for Greg Murphy, who's recovering from back surgery. And I know you're watching this afternoon, Murph, so hope you're comfy and can't wait for you to come on back and join us in time for the Enduros, mate. So let's quickly do a scan of who's who in terms of tyres. David Reynolds, soft tyres, will be starting. Garth Tander will be starting on soft. Rick Kelly as well, Steve Owen, Jason Bright, Russell Ingall, Tony D'Alberto, Stevie Johnson, and as I mentioned, Russell Douglas and James Moffat.
11 cars. So 11 of the guys choosing the other strategy. The interesting part of this will be, as Will Davison said, Dave Reynolds alongside him on the soft tyre. They've broken the FPR guys up, and Will Davison, interestingly, will need to get to the inside and maintain that line down to the first corner to protect himself. Young James Moffat right at the back of the field on soft tyres.
Turns 28 on Monday, so happy birthday, James.
Yeah, and just to put a full stop on the Craig Lowndes, I talked about that little mechanical issue. They had a spring or shock issue, I guess that's the best I can describe it. They won't be telling me the details. So what you can expect from Craig Lowndes is a much better performance. Because he's qualified in 20, don't think that's his pace for a moment.
And at the other end of the field, Larko, we're looking at David Reynolds, who's now made it 3 straight starts from position number 2. Still searching for his first pole position and first race win. But boy, talk about knocking on the door, and he will start with soft tyres, so he'll have more pace early on. The man next to him, pole sitter and championship leader Will Davison. The intensity and skill of this season just keeps rising. We're in for another one here today as we get underway at Hidden Valley.
Geez, Dave Reynolds almost jumped the start then. He moved twice and he just got away. So it'll be interesting now as Rick Kelly and Garth Tander get together down the bottom of the top 10. Great job, Dave Reynolds, into the first corner first.
Rick Kelly had 2 cracks at that. Decided that it was easier just to sit back and let it unfold ahead of him instead of getting caught up in a mess.
Staggering launch pace from Reynolds to get those tyres gripping up that quickly and bolt down the road. But as you say, it was very, very close, a real marginal one. That one out in the weeds wide at turn 5 is Tander.
This will be interesting with Rick Kelly around the outside of him still. They've been battling the whole time, Neil.
Ingall's in there as well.
Moffat, Fiore and Russell at the back of the field. So good jump from Reynolds. Davison goes with him. Winterbottom is 3rd. Then it's Shane Van Gisbergen.
42 laps to go.
Single file they go. Aside from James Courtney, who's up alongside Jonathan Webb.
Red knob 3.
So first time around, standing lap time at 1:16.3, but it's the gap that counts. It's half a second back to Davison.
Despite the initial jump, Reynolds didn't clear away for the rest of the lap.
That's right. I expected to get away further than that, yeah. I think in the end, there's not as much between the soft tyre and the hard tyre as we think around here this year. But a clever strategy from FPR to split these guys up. And I think this is a smart move. The only danger for Dave Reynolds is a safety car. If you get caught with a safety car and you're on the soft tyre, that's when you need to get the yield over the field. So the only pioneering part of this strategy will be affected by the safety car. If you did a look at the complete race on board now with Jamie Whincup, if you looked at the complete race and you said, how do I get the best yield for the 42 laps? Soft tyre at the start is the best way to do it, but it has risks. We've just got to watch this now to see what happens as the battle continues up the back there.
Well, that was Bright. That was Bright on Coulthard, and Bright's on the soft tyre. So that's teammates. So remember that these guys have got disparity in terms of their grip. Have a go at Tander in the mix here, right in the middle of the sandwich. Bright closest to camera. On the inside, it's Rick Kelly, Jack Daniels Racing. Fabian giving the back of the HRT car a nudge. So's Ingle. They're all into it here.
This is on.
We've seen that before, going three wide into turn one, and we know there's consequences. Somehow, Garth Tander has managed to hold on because he's been bashed from pillar to post.
Remember that Ingle has got great form at this racetrack. He's got 6 race victories here in the last 15 visits. Oh, Caruso into the back of Ingle.
Caruso gone. D'Alberto will get caught for that. He just turned Lowndes. So Lowndes does the go-kart trick as Russell fires straight into Caruso. So the front of the Pepsi Max Commodore damaged heavily. Lowndes does the go-kart trick. Jeremy Moore there, you can see the frustration.
Turned around from one of the white Commodores. I don't know whether it was Ricardo Patrese or Webb.
Ricardo Patrese. Very good line. Yeah. Bit of comedy from Lowndes.
Nothing to laugh about there because David Russell has turned up at turn 6, gone straight into Michael Caruso.
If you can't move that thing, that could end up being a safety car. In fact, they're now calling for the safety car.
That's the risk you were saying, Scafie.
That hurts David Reynolds. Also, though the tyres are young enough at this point, they'll just cool out and recover a little, so it may not be that bad. What you wouldn't want to have happen is a bit further down the road when you actually use the tyre.
Well, you can't come in yet anyway. So a lot of damage to the front of Caruso's car. We saw that as a consequence. I think Michael will get pinged for this.
He gets
that one, but then D'Alberto really...
Tony probably had nowhere to go.
But I don't know whether you can continue the contact. It's hard then to know with the momentum of the cars.
And what David Russell did was he jumped to the right, just missed who the other car was. Here we go. This is on board with Russell from the little nudge. He actually puts it back in first gear to get it away from there, and this is looking back.
Yeah, so that was Patrese who turned Lowndes around.
And often these things are adjudicated as racing incidents because there's so many factors involved that in the end, everybody's doing their best to avoid. David Russell in the pit lane, Pepsi Max.
You'll stop in the box after Alex. Go. Thank you. Go to 20 on the rear bar for the restart. Soft cold, soft tyres, mate. Push on till you catch the train. Okay, thank you. They have a look at the incident. Yeah, we're looking at it, mate. We're looking at it. So just catch up to the train. There's still 38 laps to go. See what we can do out of this. Roger that. Thank you. Up there, mate. Another lap.
Welcome back. Safety car in control of the field still. After that incident down there at turn 6, well, a couple of incidents really. So Michael Caruso, David Russell still in pit lane. Let's take you back to the start. Remember, David Reynolds starting on soft tyres. It's as close as you're going to get to a jump.
Oh, that was very close. We had both lots of vision. And look at the Rick Kelly, Garth Tander manoeuvring down to the first corner. You can see all that going on.
I'll let you know when that goes pit lane. Go to trim 1.
On board now with Whincup. He didn't quite get away as well as Mark Winterbottom.
Hey, mate.
The sound that you can hear in the background is all the dirt, all the pickup on the tyres getting flicked into the inner guards, because on the inside of the road there, they never drive down there typically.
That's right, it's the dirty side, isn't it? Yes, there's always been a bit of conjecture as to which side of the road it should have been the start side for the pole position getter. And David Reynolds now at the restart leads them away with a very good restart, and a lot of pressure on now between Winterbottom and Davison down to the first corner. Will being a bit cheeky because there's a bit of manoeuvring then.
He doesn't want to lose his spot, so he's trying to cover. And it looked like his teammate Winterbottom actually had a pretty good run. He had an extra couple of kilometres an hour then. He was trying to put it to effect. But Will just kind of eased him round the block a little bit on the run down into turn 1. Good jump from Reynolds.
Jason Bright's up to 8th.
And Whincup's got one of his spots back that he lost in the initial start, because remember, he went back from 3rd on the grid to 5th. He's back up in position over the top of Van Gisbergen at the moment.
And when I said before that he couldn't come in, there was no regulation for not coming in. What I meant was that there's no use coming in because you can't make it home. The only thing that is good about some of those guys that did choose to come in, Craig Lowndes, James Courtney, etc., is making the next stop a very short fill. So you'll find that late in the race, when everyone else has to come in for a full tank or a full fill, that they'll only have a very short period of time stopped.
Bright, who's 7th at the moment, is the next in the queue with soft tyres.
Yeah, escaping another guy that did transit the pit lane there was Garth Tander, and he put a set of soft tyres on. Trouble with that is when you're so far back in the field, you don't get the gain of the tyre.
Yeah, that's right, Lucko. That's what I was saying at the start. When you're on the soft tyre by yourself, you actually get the gain because you can use the car speed. But when you're caught up in the traffic, your point's exactly right. You can't use the speed of the tyre and the car at that point. This is wild. Through there, 2 abreast, is as close as you'll ever get to firing each other off.
Bright, watch him. Remember, he's got the soft tyre, so's Tander. Mark Larkham just explained. Lee Holdsworth on the outside at turn 6. He's 7th at the moment. A little grip deficient compared to those he's racing.
Nick Larkham meant James Courtney.
Yeah, so Courtney came in. He's in 24th. He's now on the soft tyre as Bright continues this surge. Next on his list will be Shane Van Gisbergen. And it won't be until he gets to the front of the field where he'll meet the next car on soft tyres, which is David Reynolds.
We've already seen enough racing to note that the soft tyre isn't really giving you some huge speed gain at the moment, given these conditions. Look at this little replay of the action down at 1. Rick Kelly, Tim Slade.
Good job by Slade then to catch that. Was right out sideways. Very good car control to gather it up. And then he and Rick went through the little roller coaster ride into turn 5 without making contact. And as I said, that was a very good job.
So Lowndes jumped onto the hard tyre in the safety car period.
He's on the softs, actually.
Sorry, it went back to softs. So he's now back up the other end of the field, having to climb back. Sorry, I described that totally wrong. So Lowndes now climbing back through the field at 5.
This is what we like to see, don't we, with him? When he starts to attack the field like this is when he's at his best, isn't he?
Guys, in the Team Vodafone command centre, Jeremy Moore, Mark Dutton, Adrian Burgess. Adrian, you took the opportunity to bring Craig in as early as you could there. What were you doing?
I mean, the days didn't start off too well qualifying where we did, but when we were turned around there, it all kicked off. We were at the back of the field. Safety car was out. There was no reason not to go and put him on softs now. We'll probably still stop again later on. But just give him a longer time on the better tyre.
All the best. Thank you, Kurt. It won't be long before he gets past Michael Patrizzi. Should get the job done by the end of this straight. He just tucks in. Craig Lowndes described to me the abrasive nature of this circuit. He says it's like a cheese grater.
You can see the mark in the rear bumper on that car. He copped a fair whack up at the hairpin, didn't he?
And You see the pressure he put on Patrizi then based on little square up.
Just let him know that he was there. So Bright and Tander have gone past Van Gisbergen and Holdsworth. So the order is now David Reynolds in the lead on soft tyres from Will Davison, Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Whincup on the harder compound. Then Jason Bright and Tander 5th and 6th. The other two on soft.
Rick Kelly and Lee Holdsworth, and those two getting into a little bumping duel down there at the hairpin.
And it's not over because he's done the crisscross. And Rick's gone to the right-hand side at the top of the hill. And he gets it done across the top there. We just saw it in the back of the screen. He ended up around the outside, and that's a very healthy manoeuvre at the top of the hill around the long way on Lee Holdsworth. So there he is, it's up behind Van Gisbergen.
So Rick's come in. Rick Kelly in.
So this is the first point. This is the Mark Larkham critical lap number. Lap 11. We can get home from here. And there's smoke coming out of this car at the same time. I just noticed it before. Oh, it's gone. It's over and out.
Yep.
Shut it down. It had that little wisp of smoke into the hairpin on the last lap. Yep, over and out.
You can hear the frustration in the crew.
Well, look at it. It's dropped a valve because it's just got that overrun smoke and gone on to 7 cylinders by the look.
So qualified inside the top 10, started on the softer tyre, starting to push his way through the field. He's involved in some pretty lively racing in the early parts. Now that it's finally settled down into some sort of rhythm, mechanical gremlins have sent Rick to the garage as we look back to Jason Bright from Jamie Whincup's car, and he's going to see this more and more often because Whincup's on the harder tyre. Bright is absolutely charging.
So it's 2.5 seconds between David Reynolds and Will Davison at the moment. And David's lap time last lap was 1:11.8. Will Davison 1:11.9. So it's only taken 10 odd laps for those tyres to pretty much equalise in lap speed. We'll watch that margin very closely for you. Bright's still marching along. He's actually matching the race leaders at the moment. So's Tander. So 5th for Jason Bright, ranging up onto Jamie Whincup here.
It is hard to tell, guys, until both lots of tyres have been run as to what is the real disparity in the performance between the soft and hard tyre. So at the moment, Dave Reynolds hasn't made the ground on Will Davison that we probably thought he would, with a 2.7 second lead, as Neil just pointed out. But until both parties have run on that tyre, we heard Grant McPherson from Will Davison's crew say earlier in the year, you don't really know until both sides have batted on that wicket, and it's really difficult to get a real feel for the difference in speed until both tyres have been used.
Scafie, I've managed to grab Rick Kelly down here, obviously not happy. Rick, good qualifying, mate. P9, you must be happy with that. But now out of the race, what engine? Doesn't sound good inside the car.
Yeah, it started to cough a little bit in the first few laps. I thought it might have been a mapping issue, but obviously we got caught in a little bit early. But look, the race was going okay. Pretty interesting out there with the soft and hard compound tyre. We're managing to move forward a little bit, and the hards actually went off quicker than the softs at the moment. So really disappointed, mate. We needed the points today, and unfortunately we're not going to get it parked here. So we're going to have to learn from the other guys and see what we can do tomorrow.
And just quickly on that, Rick, it seems very hard to us, mate, to determine a definitive strategy, hard or soft here today. The soft doesn't seem to be delivering what we expected.
Well, out there, I thought actually delivered a little bit more than what I thought compared to the hard. I was very surprised not to see some of the front guys start on softs, because if there's a safety car at 10 to 12, the guys that start on hards are going to have to go to softs, and it will hurt towards the end of the race. So very surprised, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right, good luck tomorrow, buddy.
Had a much better time here 12 months ago than he has so far this weekend. Rick Kelly, a race winner here last year, former V8 Supercar champion, but he's on the sidelines for the rest of the day. He'll be back tomorrow, no doubt. So David Reynolds leads the way. This intriguing battle of soft versus hard tyres here at Hyundai. check out our mega wall here at Hidden Valley. Brains Trust at Team Vodafone. Mark Dutton and Adrian Burgess watching on their man on the left-hand side of your mega wall, Jamie Whincup, because he is pushing as we go on board for car number 1. And if we wanted to know, had the time started to equalise for those on soft and hard tyres, Jamie's given us the answer. He's on hard tyres. The last 2 laps, at least, he's been the fastest guy in the field. He's rounding up Will Davison, and he's pretty much going to get him.
By a pretty significant margin too.
This is a very good pass. Have a look at this up into the hairpin, up the inside of Winterbottom. Just a big dive. Winterbottom gives him some room, and he gets it done. And he's driving it very straight, Matt. Have a look at his wheel technique here. When he brakes it, he loads the brake, he turns it, keeps the load on the loaded front tyre, minimises the understeer, and gets the car turned in. Gets a lot of turning done in the middle of the corner. And then he's able to exit straighter, which means that you look after the rear tyre. That's why he's fastest in the field at the moment, because he's been able to look after the rear tyres on such a difficult racetrack.
And not only is he faster than the car in front of him, Will Davison, but he's faster than David Reynolds the last few laps around, who's leading the race with soft tyres that have now done 16 laps. Give or take a couple on the safety car. So up at turn 6.
That was a bit late. He wasn't up far enough to do that. So that was a bit cheeky, and in the previous life, Mark Winterbottom gave him room, but Will Davison was absolutely no way was he going to do it. And this is on now. This is fast at the top of the hill. He gets back in behind him. He tries to crisscross. You can't get back down there together. And this is the sort of lively racing we've seen all year. And down the inside at the final corner, great pass.
So he'll try and get under him at the last corner, and that's what he did.
Very good.
Had the car speed.
It's a make or break pass, that one, because it's very unusual for that not to have contact with the 2 cars.
And once you commit to it, there's no way out.
And the guy on the outside will normally turn down on you, will normally turn towards the apex because you can't see them. So it was a pretty bold move, pretty lively stuff between good mates, but there wasn't too much good mate action going in the last half a lap there. That's as wild as you'll ever see.
Yeah, boys, I can't really agree with Rick Kelly's comments there. This soft tyre doesn't seem to be giving the performance as expected. I was just having a chat to James Small, who is David Reynolds' engineer. Now we can see Whincup closing in on him on a hard tyre versus a soft. And I said, are you actually holding David back if you got him driving to a lap time? He said, no, he's released to go as fast as he can. So that's soft tyre here, and I think it's a lot to do with the track surface temperature. It is hotter than last year, perhaps 5 degrees hotter.
Especially now that the soft tyre's effectively been neutralised after 17 laps, but Reynolds still leads the race. Man, that was awesome, wasn't it? Replay. And you talk about the commitment that he had to have to make the move. That was so well illustrated by that replay on board of Will Davison's car.
Jamie just literally wiped his car across the rear bumper of Will's car to get that done. And as we said before, there's no way out there. Once you commit to that, you're either going to make it or break it.
No doubt. And look at that lap time, 13:08 to a 12:37. 7/10 of a second faster there, Whincup. Back to 2.6 now. So he's going to make ground on Whincup. And Dave's got to organise himself now. They've got to talk together, he and James Small, to determine what is the real lap speed and what is the comparison to going to hard tyre. He's almost line ball now with his teammates in Will Davison. Their lap time's very, very similar.
And so what they're doing at the moment is their focus is tyres. They're well and truly in a position now to come in and grab the fuel they need to get to the end. So it's really just about the tyre management and how their lap speed works relative to those on the hard tyre. 1.93 seconds is the gap to Whincup. And he was a full second faster to the end of the second sector on that lap, Jamie Whincup. He looks very good at the moment. He's driving very smoothly, looking after those tyres. Jason Bright's actually still getting pretty decent lap speed out of his soft tyre as well. That's Alex Kramer, who had pretty nasty sinus problems earlier in the week in his trip up here. Spent a little bit of time in hospital. So the Frenchman now, big damage to that front left corner for him. He's serviced and off and away at Tander, position 11.
It's going to be tight with tyres and fuel.
It's going to be a quick one.
Waiting on tyres, waiting on fuel. Good to go with a drop. Away you go, away you go.
That was close, wasn't it, between the tyres and the fuel there in terms of timing. So Tander back to 19th at the moment. He'll fall maybe 1 or 2 spots back from that by the time he rejoins. And this is a pretty healthy battle also. Coulthard and Holdsworth, they've been going at it for the last few laps, and a big slide for Fabian as he gets down the inside and couldn't quite hold the car at that point. And look at this, look at the speed that Whincup's got.
The rears are gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
The rears are gone on David's car. You can see by the amount of sliding. So they've reached the critical point now. I'd be surprised they don't pluck him in right now, and that may have been the radio call in the background.
Pretty sure he's going to dart off to the right-hand side, so Whincup goes straight to the top of the list.
Yeah,
there goes Reynolds.
That was probably 2 laps too late.
Yeah, and it's shorter than what we saw last year. Here's the replay again from on board with Jamie. Up the top of the track, up at turn 10. A very awkward little corner, this one. 2 different surfaces, bit of a bump. The camber's awkward. There's no room on the outside if you do make a mistake. We saw a slightly extended life out of those tyres last year, but the temps are up at the moment. It's hot out there.
As soon as you drop, you're good to go.
Everybody's been saying this year that the soft tyre feels like it's a harder compound and has lasted longer, but at this place, it's the total opposite.
Taz Douglas has come in the Isolect Commodore as well. He's in the lane there with David Reynolds. New livery on that Isolect car this weekend. Looks great. So there's Reynolds rejoining just in front of Tander. So David drops in at position 17. There's Douglas. That's the Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport car, I-Select. Done a great job of redoing the graphics on that car. It looks fantastic in the flesh. It looks really good in the garage there and looks great on track. Well done, boys.
So who's left on the softs? Jason Bright is getting much more value than the other guys have. He's done 20 laps. And he's still holding his fire. He's up to 4th. Check out his lap time as it goes around. It's 1:13.1, and the others in front of him are in the mid-12s.
Well, the critical thing there is the race leader, Whincup, 12.1. So Jason fully 1 second slower than Jamie. So that's enough for me to want to get off it.
No.
Quickly.
I love you strategist, you.
Yeah, call me a scientist.
Feels awful. Get me off it. I'm going slow.
What's the leader doing? Say that again. I'm in.
Lowndes continues to work his way back up through the field in typical Craig fashion. He's now up to 6th. That was where he got turned around by Michael Patrizzi in the initial safety car incident. It also featured Michael Caruso and David Russell, who remain out of this race. 3 casualties, Rick Kelly, Caruso and Russell.
So Team Vodafone using the opportunity in that incident to get onto those softs and try and, as Adrian Burgess said before, spend as much time on them as they can. Lowndes has pulled a couple of miracles on soft tyres in recent years, extending their life and keeping them alive. Now he's done with that section of the race. Tim Slade runs with him. Jason Bright's in as well.
So they've all reached their use by date.
What's Russell up to here? 487th V8 Supercar start today, and it's venting fuel, the dry brake system on the right-hand side there. So there's a little O-ring and sprung-loaded seal, and it's just cocked slightly sideways on the fill. It's just venting. That was the group down at Trading Post Racing, Full Performance Racing. We're on board here with Will Davison, P2 at the moment, 4 seconds adrift. Right now, it's like an ice skating rink out there, only a hot one. That doesn't make sense, does it? So the things are absolutely things are absolutely diabolical to drive in these conditions. It's almost like driving in the wet. They're so slippery, isn't it? Come back me up, save me.
It is. Yeah, I'll save you.
Have you got heat stroke today? Are you all right? You want to sit down for a while?
Here we go. He's in. Let's focus on Will. Position 2, and Whincup as well.
That orange light on me, please, mate. We're going to give you 4 of the best.
I'm going to give you 4 of the best.
Heading for me on the brake, please. All wheels are done. Good to go. Good to go. Still all clear.
So he'll have to do, what, 19 laps effectively on this set of softs. And Jason Bright was really the only one who took it out to 20-odd laps on the soft tyres.
Look at this. This is close. It's Dave Reynolds. This is effectively for the lead. Dave right up in behind.
There's a mechanical black flag for Russell Ingall's Super Auto Racing for that fuel that we saw leaking earlier. They'll have to sort that. It'll be a very easy thing to resolve, but he'll lose a heap of time in the pit lane making the transition off the track, sorting it and then getting back on again.
So these guys are 9th and 10th on the road. You're looking at your effective race leaders. Mark Winterbottom, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Fabian Coulthard, Courtney Kelly, Patrizzi, Reindler and Fiore yet to go in.
Jamie should skip away here on fresh, cold, soft tyres. It'll be like a massive grip birthday for him for a couple of laps. It'll feel fantastic after just finishing that last stint. And he wants to try and make as much ground as he can over David while he can.
The Giz. Sunday race winner here last year.
10 laps remaining, mate. Eyes forward.
Lowndes is speedy at the moment as well. 14th position on the softer tyre. It's very quick to the second sector.
And he's just done the fastest lap. Craig Lowndes on 1:10. 0.5. It's only half a second off the lap record. So, oh, look at this. Davison on Tander.
Former teammates.
So Tander on the hard tyre, Will on the soft tyre. Big grip difference at that point of the race. And these guys now will have to get the best from the... As we see Mark Winterbottom now coming to do exactly the same thing. Have to get the best from these tyres. Make sure you don't hurt them too much on the opening laps, because they deteriorate very heavily. Only just got away then.
Bobbled a bit, didn't it? Lowndes was 10.5 on that last lap. Fastest lap of the race, Craig Lowndes in 10th.
There you go, there's the gap. And Frosty's lost a lot of ground there. We'll just have a look as for why. We'll find that out. And there's Lowndes right up alongside him.
He's lost a bunch of spots.
So he was right behind his teammate before all that happened. And although there was a little crossover a couple of laps, it shouldn't be that much in it. So something's gone on. We'll get to the bottom of that for you.
That effectively puts him in 6th.
Well, even the little bobble in the pit lane, getting away would have been enough for Craig to clear him here.
Right, yeah.
So it only takes a fraction of a second, but your point is right. There's been more time lost somewhere in the process.
So Todd Kelly yet to make it through pit lane. So Jamie Whincup, your effective race leader. There's a lot of pace to burn on the way home in this one. At Hidden Valley, stay with us.
Laps remaining, 16 laps remaining. Car in front hasn't pitted. Everyone should have pitted now. Pace is 12, pace is 12, please. Mate, you might have green, we don't, so make sure you're burning out behind us and we're right. Nice it is. Nice it is.
We are in the top end, having a look at our mega wall, and the Bottle Racing entry of David Reynolds and his crew looking on in earnest. He's currently second. The field has been cleansed throughout that break, so everybody's done their stops, regulation. Jamie Wincup's our race leader by 1.6 seconds. They're edgy at Bottle because David Reynolds on the hard tyre is being chased down by Will Davison, who's on the soft tyre. Here's Lowndes, continues to pick his way through this field. Gets another spot up to 6th.
Yeah, just chatting with Campbell, little Mark Winterbottom's engineer. He said, because they did drop a lot of spots there, he says we just left the stop too late. However, we did want to see someone on soft tyres have a charge home at the end, and I guess Winterbottom's it. And just to put that in perspective, the little window of operation here, I just put my heat gun on the rear tyre of one of the FPR cars that pulled in, 106 degrees centigrade. I mean, you can boil a cup of tea on that. So these things are getting murdered around here. They really are.
Just while we're away as well, Fabian Coulthard just looking inside the frustration in the Jack Daniels garage there as well. But Fabian Coulthard smoked excessive smoke from that car. They gave it a mechanical black flag, and he too at the pit lane. Dropping down the order, obviously.
Great job.
So as Mark Larkham said when he took us through the race packs, we needed to see somebody on soft tyres late in the race, and that man is Mark Winterbottom, with Davison and Whincup also with reasonably soft, or reasonably new soft tyres, as in they're only 2 laps older. Dave Reynolds at the moment, basically line astern there now with these guys as teammates. We saw the first part of the race yield him about a 3 or 3.5 second gain, and now it's the opposite as the soft tyre runners attack Dave Reynolds. Dave was in second. He's just been passed now by Will Davison, and we've got series leader 1 and 2 as first and second in this race.
So Davey just sidestepped Will then just to make sure that he had space. 3 laps is the difference in the age of the tyres, younger in favour of Will Davison. So the 2 cars at the top of the field at the moment, Whincup and Davison, are on the softer tyre. David Reynolds on the harder tyre. One of the reasons why Dave chose that strategy of I just don't want to get involved in this is he knows there may be a chance, depending on the way this plays out, that he can be a factor later. You don't need to tangle yourself up in something that takes you out of your race lap rhythm and hurts your tyres. Maybe he ends up in an exchange of panels and what have you, even if it's within teammate. You're better off just to stay cool, try and drive to a number and then fight at the very end. And traditionally at this track, where we've had strategy racing, cars on 2 different types of tyres, there's this merge moment towards the back end of the race. It's fantastic because you've got these sort of big unanswered questions. Will they, won't they make it? And there's always a charger. And so that's what we've got our fingers crossed here for at the moment.
Yeah, just went down and had a chat to Brad Jones. Fabian Coulthard's actually in the garage. He's got what they think might be a leaking diff, which is disappointing. He was running strong. Brad had hopes of a good result here today. But Neil, I know you and I are going to go down to Brad Jones's workshop in a couple of weeks for one of the V8 Extra shows. Maybe we can have a look why those diffs are leaking, mate.
You could give them a hand, Larko. That'd solve all their problems.
Steve Owen and Jonathan Webb. Steve just missed out on the top 10 shootout, and he's surrendered a position to Webb, who's on the soft tyre.
So all the guys with the soft tyre at the moment look pretty racy. They're floating to the top of the tree, but they've just got to measure themselves in how they deliver this lap speed, because it's going to be at the back end of the race that matters most for them.
And in terms of lap speed, the lap just completed. The leaders, Whincup and Davison, on the soft tyre, that are the same 8 laps old, 1:11.5s. Reynolds on the harder tyre, 1:12.5. He's a full second back. Mark Winterbottom did a 1:10.8. So he's the quickest of the leading bunch. He's got the freshest set of tyres for the leaders.
So this championship battle is intriguing, isn't it? With Will Davison currently leading by 10 points over Whincup. If Whincup stays in this position now, he'll lead after today by 2 points. So this has been a great battle all year.
Race control and race director Tim Schenken also just saying that car 21, David Wall's got smoke in the left rear of his car. It's the sister car to the Coulthard car. Here he is, Wilson Security. And so they may have a common problem across a couple of the cars in their group. That will take the smile off Brad Jones style. And Dunlop engineer Noel Kelly's just sent me through an update on the track temp. It's 47 degrees track temp at the moment. It's a big number.
No wonder it hurts the soft tyre. No wonder it's over 100 degrees, as Mark Larkham just explained. And that's Winterbottom. Down the inside of Reynolds. He's had really good car speed the last couple of laps. Matt said on the previous lap he was 7/10 of a second faster. And on that lap there, 7/10 faster again than Will Davison. He's 2.8 seconds behind, but he's making big ground.
So the top 3 cars on the Dunlop soft tyre. The first car in the queue on a hard tyre is David Reynolds. Next in the queue, Craig Lowndes, soft tyre. So in the top 5 cars, 4 of them on the softer rubber, and David Reynolds just playing this waiting game in the green Botlow car there at the moment to see whether or not his choice of tyres and his strategy, which was the opposite to these fellas, he started on the soft tyre, tried to make a gain, make a run. Now he needs those to just play out nicely to the back end of the race to give him a fighting chance.
And he's fighting for his first ever race podium. Crompo, he's in 4th, which equals his career best race finish at Abu Dhabi. He's been spectacular lately in qualifying. We're talking about Reynolds, 3rd straight race where he started on the front row of the grid. So they're the gaps for you. There's Lowndes,
2.9, keep managing, mate.
back to Garth Tander. Then Jason Bright, Tim Slade, Lee Holdsworth, Shane Van Gisbergen. So the Stone Brothers guys have all stayed in the top 10, but all drifted back towards the end of that top 10. Jonathan Webb in 11th, then Tony D'Alberto, Steve Owen, James Courtney. And here's Todd Kelly, brother Rick in the garage after only a handful of laps. Mechanical problem. Stevie Johnson, then David Wall, tucked in behind. Wally is Michael Patrizzi. So that takes you down to position 18. Go back up the front and see Craig Lowndes get a move on David Reynolds.
Good pass. As I said before, that's a very lively spot. Cars slide across the top of the hill there, and to make them accurate and get back to the apex without going off that very narrow piece of bitumen takes a lot of car control very hard. It's been a... So Jeremy Moore then saying, we'll just guide you now. Go as hard as you can. See whether that's taking some ground off the front of the pack, as in Whincup, Davison and Winterbottom. So Lowndes into 4th. It's a very good drive when you consider he got spun at the hairpin early in the race. He qualified way down in 20th, and he's back into 4th position. So that's actually 16 spots up from where he was. So he's used his head and has driven the car very well.
Smart thinking too by the team. So there's Van Gisbergen and Holdsworth still cracking away. What about David Reynolds? So he's waiting for these tyres to neutralise, but he's running out of laps to do so after starting on the front row with soft tyres, feeling like Superman. Now he's just watching them all motor past.
Scafie, I was just going to reinforce your comments about Craig Lowndes. Drive of the day, mate. That is really good. And that just validates that he obviously did have an issue, mechanical issue in qualifying. So if you're a Craig Lowndes fan, I'd be tuning in tomorrow, make no doubt about that.
Yeah, I agree, Marco. A bit of maturity sometimes. This is a very hard racetrack. You said it in the opener this morning about how committed you need to be in some areas and how disciplined you need to be in others. And even this battle late in the race shows you, as the cars get hot, the tyres get hot, the engines get hot, the drivers get hot, and you've got to be able to use your head and drive the car to its absolute maximum across the different tyre yields. So when you're in the car with a soft tyre, you've got great grip, and then the tyre goes away, that grip level falls off, and it's Slade down the inside of Bright. That's very narrow there. He's only just made it. And Bright gave him no room. It was right down the inside, the dirty stuff, and Bright spins by himself.
Because of the amount of dirt on the tyres.
That's right, exactly.
He was struggling then, wasn't he? That was awkward.
He almost created that for himself a little bit by escorting him so far offline. Disappointing for him. He's been strong all day and he's driven very well, but as you can see, they're in so far And then when he gets it finally turned, in the middle of the corner, this is a bit of a lazy slide. It gets sideways and then bang, gone. It's obviously got marbles and rubber and dirt, corruption on the rear tyres at some point, and finally it gyrates late in the corner. And he'll be very angry with himself because that there has cost him what would be a pretty good result for Brad Jones Racing.
So he's battling there with James Courtney at the moment. Down the order. Almost makes you wonder whether it hasn't got another problem. It's such a lazy...
It was a weird slide, wasn't it?
Like broken anti-roll bar on the back of it or something. Just very strange.
Guys, I was talking to Tim Edwards about Will Davison's situation and whether he's got what it takes to catch Jamie Whincup. And Tim said, don't worry about Will. He said, Mark Winterbottom is lapping half a second faster than anyone else at the moment. Frosty, he thinks, can catch Jamie before the finish line.
Well, it's an interesting question. But one of the other things that we've been speculating about is the disparity between the two tyre types. And at the moment, it's still well and truly in favour of the soft tyres. So the last lap, Jamie Whincup was a full second faster than David Reynolds. And we're really into the twilight of this race now. So I don't think there's going to be enough we call it, tyre degradation and drop off in the soft tyre to see the hard tyre prevail at the end.
But that's absolutely right. And probably today you'd have to say that Dave Reynolds' car has been too hard on the tyres. Oscar's worked out for us in the combox here, our statistician, the way that this the degradation has worked. It's basically more over a 10-lap run. It's 0.1 of a second, so it's a lot worse on Dave Reynolds' car than it has been on other cars with soft tyres. So,
well, again on that lap, just completed, Whincup 1:11.4, Reynolds 1:12.4. And David is the outstandingly slow car.
One.
I don't mean that in a rude way, but he's the slow one of the top 5. It shouldn't really be like that at this point.
No way. But sometimes you know what it's like when the car's not quite right. Doesn't matter what tyre, it's the hard tyre or the soft tyre, it just uses it up. Yep.
And in fact, you have to say that those that are long stinting at the back end with their soft tyre are actually going pretty well.
We've seen that a little bit, haven't we? Everyone says it's about the rubber that's down and what actually happens to the surface condition as the race unfolds. So there may be a little bit of that. The rubber gets caught in the sediment or the aggregate of the surface of the bitumen, and the soft tyre is better as more rubber goes down. So there's definitely a difference between the start and the end of the race in tyre performance.
Whincup speed just on that lap, here he is, 1:11.5. Davison 1:11.99. Winterbottom 1:11.76. There's nothing wrong with that speed.
Very good.
And that's 15 laps completed for both Whincup and Davison on their soft tyre. Frosty's tyres just a little bit younger.
1.4 seconds to Dave Reynolds, so
he's got a
11.5 to 12.9.
Definitely got a balance problem. It's not just a tyre thing, as you said.
Inside the last 5 laps, Whincup looks as though he is going to cruise to his 3rd victory of the season, and more importantly, get the championship lead back. Won't be by much, only a couple of points. Puts him at the top of the list again. There's Mark Winterbottom, who's holding off Craig Lowndes, who's a few seconds further back. Aaron Noonan's just passed me an interesting stat as well, because the last time a driver finished top 3 here from low on the grid, it was this bloke. In 2006, went from 28th to 3rd. Today he's gone from 20th to 4th.
Yeah, it's a great drive, especially seeing he was pointing the wrong way at turn 6 at one stage.
And the rear end's not looking that great either.
So Whincup, he's backed it off a little bit there, Matt. He's on a 12.4 on that lap. He knows that with a 3.8 second lead, you can just afford not to try to break the lap record. In fact, the fastest guy of that first 5-car bunch was Craig Lowndes, then with a 12.1. So Lowndes still pressing on pretty hard. Oh, and Frosty had a big moment through the roller coaster there. He turned it right. He couldn't find the center of the steering wheel after he bumped the inside curb. And then it had a big tank slapper going as it come off the second curb at the left-hand section of it. So it was a pretty wild moment. As these tyres do lose their grip, they tend to get like a mushy feel to it. Have a look at this. It's caught the curb, and then he's got a tank slapper going. It's at a big wobble.
And you can't wobble too far out of the groove there at the moment. You just saw from that shot, looking through the S's, you've only got to waddle slightly offline, and you pick up a couple of kilos of dirt and
That's right.
rubber and rubbish on your tyres, and then who knows?
Well, it's one lane, isn't it?
Yep.
You just can't get off the one lane.
And it continues to narrow.
Yeah.
2 to go, mate. 2 to go.
Winterbottom's not giving up on this chase with his teammate. Let's check their lap speed this time through. 1 minute 12.5 for Will Davison, a 12.4 for Mark Winterbottom. 11.9 for Whincup. He's just stroking that car along beautifully in terms of its pace at the moment. He's got a 4.5 second lead. This is a little team manager nightmare, this one. Where you've got two good guys, very determined to prevail. Mark Winterbottom's been in the team a long time. He's gone through some lean years in the Orcon Ford Performance Racing Falcon, but they haven't quite been able to capitalise. So he's hungry. Will's been in the team now for a couple of years. He's well and truly established that he's pretty hungry as well. He went through a great run in 2009 where he battled for the championship, and he went through that horror year the following year of the Holden Racing team. So he's trying to get back on top of the game as well. Neither of them are going to want to yield. It's a good problem to have with a team, but in the end, it's still a problem.
It's a bit grey hairish, isn't it?
And 1 to go.
Tends to
bring it home, brother.
put a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on the way that the administration handle these sorts of things, and the way that you want to be in terms of how they're going, their speed, and the way that their resurgence and their dominance this year has certainly put a lot of pressure on Triple Eight also. But internally, there's a big demand on running two cars as well as you can each time, and also there's been really a third car with Dave Reynolds up there for most of the season so far.
Jonathan Webb's got into the top 10 as well, off position 17 on the grid. That's not a bad drive. The Techno Autosports car.
Look how smooth he's been today, Neil. His drive today has looked after the tyres. Watch his hands here. When he brakes, watch his hands. Turns it one movement. Beautiful flow, leaves the brake on. No correction, nice, easy gear change, straightens it up. That's been the drive. The reason that he's won today is he has used the tyres better than anybody else because he's been smooth.
He doesn't excite the steering wheel or upset the car, shift the balance around and punish it. That's one of the keys to his success, and we saw those stats earlier in the broadcast, and his win ratio relative to starts has been phenomenal.
And remember, he took that risk early on to get that job done on Will Davison, and it is a good fight back. It breaks an FPR winning streak. Jamie Whincup back on the winners list. Will Davison second and Mark Winterbottom third. And Craig Lowndes, the drive of the day, aside from his teammate, to go from 20th to 4th, and this is still on. With Jonathan Webb,
who's gone up a spot to 9th.
And Lee Holdsworth. So Webb will finish inside the top 10.
Great drive.
It is a great drive because he qualified 17th, Webby. So that's a nice recovery. A little bit like Craig Lowndes, who worked very hard to get back in the game too.
Third win of 2012 for Jamie Whincup. And keeps this ripping battle going with his good mate in the championship, and a side-by-side finish for D'Alberto and Patrizzi, and D'Alberto will get it by a nose for 15th.
He'll feel very good about this drive today, Matt. This is a very professional, from what would be, in his world, a poor qualifying, very sound drive, limit the mistakes, look after the tyres, don't get caught up in the drama.
Will Davison on the podium yet again. 10 times, 10 out of 12, including, of course, 6 race wins. But right, we've witnessed a truly polished performance from Jamie Whincup today. Yet again, FPR filling out the other 2 spots. And there's David Reynolds on a day that could have been so much better. Finishes 17 seconds back from the leader, but inside the top 5. And Jonathan Webb pushing up from 17th starting position. Todd Kelly almost cracked the top 10. We saw the good finish between Patrizzi and D'Alberto. David Wall there in 20th. And the casualties at the back end included Taz Douglas, Rick Kelly, Michael Caruso and David Russell filling in the Pepsi Max crew for Murph this weekend. So race 12 is done. And boy, won't they know about it. 120 kilometres, 42 laps. The track temperature was nudging towards 50 degrees. And inside the cockpit, it'll be much more than that.
Wouldn't like to be a tyre pressure gauge there, Crompo, now.
Not at all. It's very difficult to describe for those of you at home just how intense the heat is in these cars and around them. Even when you just walk up, just proximity to the cars, you just feel the heat swell.
Nice one, J-Dub. Exactly. The boys are very happy. Mark Dutton and Adrian Burgess, the rest of the guys. Very good comeback.
He hasn't won a race since the second race at Symmons Plains in Tasmania, so it's quite extraordinary to think that he's been so close to the championship lead, but for the last couple of events he's witnessed a blue wash.
Yeah, car was good. It sort of, with that turnaround, sort of stopped a bit of things, but got a ripper start. Yeah, he did actually.
Hey, Jamie Whincup, congratulations. You get the feeling that one was special?
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Hey, we haven't had a tough run, but it's been a bit of a battle this year, so certainly that's the best car we've had. So really wrapped. Guys have dug deep, you know. We've dug deep, and you know, we've got a mini result for it to start with.
Didn't get that elusive pole so far this weekend, but nice to get the win.
Yeah, no. We're focusing on a race car, which is what it's all about around here, and we got that. So couldn't be happy with the engineers. They've been under a bit of stress lately, and they've certainly delivered today.
Well done, congratulations.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
On you, Jamie. Will Davison, Will, congratulations. Another tough, hard fight. There is a wrestle on for this championship now.
Yeah, it is, and you just got to play it smart. And today he had the better car, and drove away with it. I fought as hard as I could early, but yeah, we just weren't as strong late in those stints. I tried to drive it straight and smart, but yeah, we'll have a bit of a think about that tonight. But second and third for the team, and certainly nothing to cry about. Great pole this morning, and we'll look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, we do too, Will. Congratulations, in great shape. Well done, Will.
Cheers, thanks.
And Frosty, great to see you back on the podium. Another great result for Ford Performance Racing, and for you. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. It was pretty hard work. It was not that grippy out there, but you just try and survive. And we went about 2 laps later than some of the other guys on softs, and it brought you out in the pack. So it was all on, but you're good to get third and keep maintaining points. Go home tonight, pop a few pills, get a bit better, and come tomorrow.
I spoke to Dr. Carl before the race. He said that, of course, you'd picked up that illness from Oliver, your young son, and you would be pretty tired by this stage of the day.
Oh, I am, but yeah, you know, when your little boy's sick, you do whatever you can. I fed him like a bird. He ate ice out of my mouth. So, note to yourself, when they got a virus, probably don't do that. But yeah, I'd take that any day. He can give it to me. I love him that much. So deal with it tomorrow night.
Good on you, Frosty. Well done.
Thank you.
Down here with Craig Lowndes. Well, mate, if there was an award, unfortunately there's not, mate, can't give you anything, but driver of the day, mate, that was terrific. I mean, when you were turned around after qualifying on 20th, little jib at Riccardo Patrese, I think you said, mate, we thought your day was over.
Yeah, so did I. I think that, really it was disappointing. I had a ripper start. We've been working on those between, obviously, Phillip Island and here. We got down the outside. We were actually looking pretty good. Trying to stay out of trouble, obviously. Our plan A was only do one stop, but, of course, with, obviously, that incident and, of course, get back going. Luckily, with the safety car, though, we were able to do an extra stop and get back in touch with the leaders, which is what we wanted to do.
Yeah, so it's a two-stopper, which really wasn't part of anyone's plan, certainly wasn't on my whiteboard. So, well done. Tell us about the soft tyres. We're a little surprised. You managed them very well, drove very sensibly on them, very mature drive, mate, but they didn't seem to be yielding what we thought for everyone.
Well, I think it's one of those things that we learned a lot from last year. You know, if you go out there in the first 2 or 3 laps and try and put in some hard cracking laps, you take a lot of the goodness out. So really one of those things that you just got to manage that tyre, be really gentle with them even from the beginning, and of course then they stay with you for a lot longer.
Before we go, just quickly have a look at your temperature. Got the heat gun here. Look at that. Mate, the guy's an Iceman. Well done, and congratulations on the OAM award, mate. Very deserving recipient. Well done.
Thanks, Larko.
Well done. What a day for Craig Lowndes. Just one spot off the podium, which is coming up in just a minute. But we'll just quickly check out this picture on the championship point score. And Jamie Whincup is actually now 2 points. So those numbers are wrong. Jamie Whincup leads by 2 points over Will Davison now. And the top 3 are split by 40. So get your calculators burning. But 150 points in the bank today for Jamie Whincup. Couldn't have come at a more critical time. And it is time now for the podium for race 12 of the season.
The 2012 Sky City Triple Crown, race 12 of the year. Would you please congratulate, in first place for Team Vodafone, Jamie Whincup. In second place, Ford Performance Racing's Will Davison. And in third place for Ford Performance Racing as well, Mark Winterbottom. Representing the winning team, the team principal for Team Vodafone, Roland Dane. Making the presentation to third place is Leanne Fraser, the sales manager, Cooper's Brewery, one of our major supporters. Making the presentation to second place is Brian Yanakis, the National Sales Director, Telstra Advertising Network. Presenting to the winning team, Mr. Steve Inch, the Managing Director, Oceania Beam Global. And from our major sponsor, making the presentation to our winner, the General Manager, Sky City Darwin, Brad Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 Sky City Triple Crown Race 12 winners.
Well done, Brett. Last time Jamie Whincup stood on the top step of the podium this season was on Sunday at Symmons Plain. Since then, we've been to Hamilton in New Zealand, WA and Phillip Island. But he is back, and so is Holden in the championship picture. Third race win of the year for our defending series champion. But Ford Performance Racing are in it as well.